Today's video is going to be about how to not come across as desperate when you are dating men. Being desperate is probably the number one turn off for men when it comes to women. The most attractive woman can lose her charm and attractiveness in a split of a second if she gives off the desperate vibe. And that is because being desperate is a state of mind of someone who is in constant need for love and who is in pain without love. And this pain causes you to do things that you would not normally do in order to feel something in return, as opposed to doing things organically because that's what you want to do. When you are desperate, you are in a constant chase of a man's reaction that validates you, which ultimately eases your pain and makes you feel better about yourself. For example, you feel the need to talk about yourself, not because you're very proud of yourself and you're comfortable with yourself, but because you want to impress the guy and prove to him that you're worthy of love. It's a bit like screaming at him, please love me, I am worthy. And even when you try to hide your desperation or suppress it, when you're doing things so that you can ease your anxiety and your worries, it literally infects the energy that is carried in your words and your actions, and so affects the way people, and men in particular, perceive you. They can literally sense that you're coming from a place of neediness and insecurity, and that you have low self-esteem and low confidence in yourself. So in short, being desperate is not good for attracting men. Now let's talk about the things that you can do or not do in order to not come across as desperate. My number one advice is to work on yourself and develop an abundance mindset. Because if you dig deeper on where your desperation comes from, you will probably find that it comes from a fear of not finding the right person for you, and therefore the fear of never receiving the love that you so crave. And your fear might have been reinforced by the number of rejections you have experienced so far in your dating life, but still you need to overcome this fear. So let me share with you how I overcame my own fear of not receiving love. I personally had the fear of not finding someone who can love me, and I was in such a pain for years of my life. So one day, a major event in my life forced me to sit down and think about my fears, and so I asked myself, how bad is it if I don't find someone for me? And then I thought, but I need someone to give me love. I can't get love if I don't find someone. And then I asked myself, is that really true? Why can't I give myself that love? And that's when I realized that I can overcome my fear by simply realizing that I can be my own source of love. Number 2, don't go out there with an agenda. Now, you will find it easier to stop having agendas and plans if you do number 1 and deconstruct your fear of never finding love. Try to force yourself not to have any goals in mind when you date men and not to expect certain outcomes. Release any pressure that you or other people put on you to find someone, regardless of how long you have been single, or how bad you want to be in a relationship. Or if other people ask you, or when are you going to have your own family and have babies or whatever. Men will sense that you have a plan in mind, and they really don't like that. Number 3, don't be too available. Being available does not necessarily mean you're desperate, but it actually comes across as though you're desperate. So the first thing to do is to become aware of your behavior and other people's perception of it, and realize that they are not always the same thing. And second, you need to get busy with your life by having your hobbies and pursuing your interest and hanging out with your friends, so that when you interact with a man, he can see that you have a full life and that the sole purpose of your existence is not to find a man and please him, and you instantly become much more interesting and attractive to men. Number 4, don't be clingy and eager to talk all the time. If you need to talk to the other person all the time and know everything about their life, you will come across as very desperate. Because really what it says about you is that the reason why you put so much attention on a man and hold on so tight is because you fear losing him and never finding someone as good as him. And that comes down to your scarcity mindset, that there are so few good candidates out there that you need to hold on very tight. Really, what you can do is try to hold on, but lose. Try to keep the conversations short and try to avoid being too intrusive. That would speak a long way about how confident and comfortable you are. Number 5, Don't double text. And that's another thing that will make you look desperate. If you double text or send multiple texts without waiting for an answer, it signals so many negative things to a man, and it is a red flag for many of them. It tells a man that you're not in control of your emotions, because if you were, you would be able to wait and you would not care too much if you don't receive an answer. And ultimately, it tells him that you're desperate for the attention and love of a man that you barely know and who does not reciprocate the same level of attention to you. Number 6, don't pursue him and let him pursue you. Pursuing a guy comes off too strong and masculine and can indicate that you are so desperate for love that you have stepped in to take the masculine role and pursue men out of desperation. For example, don't initiate a conversation about your next date when you were the one who did that for the last date. Let him come to you at his own pace, and the only way to do that really is to not count on him and being completely detached from the outcome. Number 7, don't be too impatient. Impatience is another strong sign of desperation and having an agenda that you can't wait to materialize. For example, avoid insisting to see him when he says he's not available and can only see you like in 2 weeks or a month. Also, don't try to rush into go into his place and asking him to introduce you to his friends and family a bit too soon. Number 8, don't ask for a relationship status update all the time. This is a common thing among desperate women, to be worried about their relationship status and to express that worry through bringing up the subject of relationship status over and over again. And while it would be a reasonable thing to do to ask for relationship status update, after 2 or 3 months into a relationship, but you should really not do that in the first few weeks of dating. Number 9, keep high standards. Men will test your standards early on by checking how low they can get you to go. And if you are desperate, you will drop your standards. And that's when your perceived value goes down. So ladies, keep your standards. And number 10, don't try to get his attention by posting on social media. Especially avoid sad quotes and posts about relationships and things like that. Just think of your own reaction when you scroll your own social media and you see someone posting a sad quote. You probably think that this person must be feeling very sad and lonely. So imagine now this new guy you're dating who comes across, your own sad post. And lastly, my ultimate advice to you ladies is to value yourself above the relationship. You need to value yourself above anything else and let go of people and relationships that contradict your value so that you leave the space for the right person to come along. Remember that when you're saying no to something, you are indirectly saying yes to something else, even when you don't know yet what this something else might be.